I would be distraught if it was my son. Now, the part that I don't understand is this: if you're running, and I'm not blaming the victim, meaning the kid or the 24-year-old, but if you running from 50, one of the things I know is you don't want to be holding no gun because a lot of times if you holding a gun or anything that look like a gun, you might get shot.
That makes
You
it
understand what I mean?
justified.
Like I was saying, like, I'm not saying he's wrong, but I'm saying that one of the things for me, if I'm running from the police, I'm scared to even have anything on me, in my hand. You know what I'm saying? One thing if the strap is tucked, but to have something in my hand, if I drop the gun, I'm gonna leave the gun. I'm gonna go. You don't even want to have anything that might look like a gun because you
On
might get
how to
shot.
boil a there's so many different things, but this is all allegedly
Anything
anyway.
that
Like,
even looks
did
like a
the
gun.
recording even show that he had a gun in his hand? Like, there's still some question marks. So they tell the story,
I
but
don't think
then
that part's
when you
in
look at the
dispute, though.
video,
I don't think the fact that he had a gun
You
is
don't even
in
want to have a
dispute
cell
because
phone in your
in the
hand
body
these
cam, although it's
days.
not extremely clear,
So you
you
don't
can
even want to
see
have a
when he was
cell
running
phone
around that
these
dumpster, he
days.
dropped it. But I think this is what I
Anything
think from what I saw so
exactly,
far. It looks like
exactly.
Ryan Hinton picked up the gun, he dropped the gun, picked up the gun, and started to run. I can't tell if he pointed the gun at the police officer. It looks like he just grabbed the gun, was running, and the police officer's like, he got a gun, and he's just shot him. That's what it looked like to me. So So the dad is distraught. The dad goes back and then he goes and runs over this whole other deputy. So my only thing about this is here. I understand I have a son. If it's my son, there's two things that came to my head. First thing that came to my mind is like my son shouldn't have no gun being in no stolen car. That's one. Because you're putting yourself in danger of getting killed. There's certain situations that put you in danger to die. That's one. Running from the police, having a gun in your hand, puts you in a scenario where you could possibly get killed. So, second thing, I'll say this and I'll back off, is that for me, if I'm the dad, if I was gonna go for vengeance, I'm not going for a random cop. I would want to go for the same cop who did something. That's my thing. But I wouldn't again, it's like going for vengeance. You got to kind of look at it and say, when you have children, you got to make sure you got to talk to them. We can't control our children, but if our children get in situations that are dangerous for their life, you know, those are the things that happen sometimes too. So that's my thought.
think you're speaking from a sane mind, and I think what you're saying kind of leans into the father's state of mind, and that he was not thinking rationally, right? Because you're right. If you were thinking rationally, you'd want to find out who that officer was and get to him.
Hmm.
But you just drove out, ran over some random dude, right? So
Yeah.
again,
Well,
why are we not entertaining the fact that he's having some type
imagine
of mental breakdown when he did that?
because imagine the frustration. Like if they're not releasing the officer's name to the public, who's to say they gave it to the father? How do I even know? Yeah, how
Yeah,
do I? There, I can see them protecting that officer. And this man has lost his son. He's already frustrated with the situation,
Hmm.
and I can see the frustration boiling up to the point where it's like, I don't care who it is. If it's an officer, that's who I'm going. I mean, that's you know what I mean. I'm trying to get at law enforcement, whoever that may be.
Hmm.
So
Oh, they definitely
it,
didn't give it to the
I
father.
just I see a frustrated father who's not thinking clearly
Right.
in this. That's what I'm getting.
But you do, B Rock, you just made a good point. But the sad part about it is that in this country, it seems like only one group of people can be looked at as a full human, whereas they could they have the right to be frustrated, they have the right to be upset, they have the right to not be in their a particular state of mind, whereas they can use temporary insanity and things of that nature because all those emotions and everything else that we're speaking about connect to a full human being and someone who can say yes to that, right? Like, hey, as a full human being, this is my current, that was my state of mind. And it wouldn't be my normal state of mind if I wasn't in that temporary insanity place. but also to something that you was getting to. We have to talk about the frustration, the constant frustration that black people are in this country overall, period.
Hmm.
I mean, James Baldwin said to be black and relatively conscious is to be in a constant state of rage. So imagine you're much like the Hulk, for those who listening and Marvel fans, and you have to always harness this, and you have this anger in you, and you're always on alert, and you're always under stress. Also, having to quiet your rage, always, and then you hear and see things going on either locally, nationally, internationally, that also you see these injustices that you can, especially with those who you can physically identify with, and you say, "Here we go again." I mean, I don't know if you played, and I have it on my page. If you want to go to the link, the father went to his arraignment,
Yeah, I saw that, and the
and
cops, the cops were
and
deep.
right, and everything that led up to that, the police initiate. They don't care to. They no longer care to diffuse situations when it comes to us.
Right.
They initiated the situation and they escalate in spite of their training. So even what you were talking about, Owusu, with having certain conversations with our sons and our daughters, and this is for the if there's any white people listening, when we talk about white privilege, this is something that we're talking about. You, as white people, have the privilege not having to have certain conversations with your children because, as don't run from the police, even if you've done nothing wrong and you have no weapon, don't run. These are conversations black parents have to have with black children. And then your white children have the luxury to be afraid and panic and run.
Well, let me ask you a
Black
question. Let
children
me
have
ask
to remember what the parents said while they're afraid and young and not having
where
full.
where you're at on that point, Ian. Not to cut you off. Where you're at, I want to ask you a question on where you're at right now, and I want to ask you and maybe everybody. Do y'all think that if the kid was white and got out of the car with that gun and got shot, do you think he would have been shot if he ran out of the car with the gun? Just speaking to
He
you.
would have been tased. It would have been a taser.
Well, I don't think tasing would have been an option. He
There are
would have
Well,
been kind of
probability
far
of
away for a
somebody.
well,
tase, but
I'm going to say this. If
mm,
you're asking, the sad part is so much evidence of white people with guns not being shot, to include the white boy who just shot up a church full of black
Yeah.
folks. They knew he was armed, shot up a church full of black folks. He wasn't shot either. The cops have proven time and time again their ability to apprehend a white suspect without having to kill them. They've shown time and time again the ability to offer warnings, 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 anything to avoid having to shoot them before apprehending them. They've shown the
yeah,
ability to do that.
right.
So I can appreciate your question as a host, and this is for the audience, so I can appreciate that. But I want the
You got to play
audience
devil's
to,
advocate.
but I want the audience who's listening to understand this. The host didn't ask this question because he didn't know the answer. Let's be clear. The host asked this question so that we can answer it for those who may not know the answer to that question. Because sadly, any black person that's of relative average intelligence uh, knows the answer to that question. And in
Let me
20
go ahead. Go ahead.
and last but not least, and I keep promising myself I'm going to stop
Mm-mm.
taking over. I feel like I'm taking over.
No, go ahead, brother.
I turn into a Baptist preacher and start doing these sermons. But
Go ahead, brother.
it's and it's been weeks since I got to cook with you, so I got the whole
No,
stew
please.
going
That's
on.
why I'm saying, by all means, do your thing, brother.
It's frustrating to look, man. It's 2025. We having the same conversations in May of 2020. It's May, right? May of 2025
2025. Yep.
that we have in May of 1965, 1925, as it relates to our relationship with law enforcement in this country.
Mm-hmm.